Sonic Frontiers giveaway in progress until the end of the month. Check the description for more details. Hey everyone, welcome back to Archie Sonic Explained Part 6. Firstly, I'm going to try to switch things up a bit. You see, as an explained series, I feel that I should lean more into summarizing it while giving you all some of my thoughts at the end. So with no further delay, let's jump in and I'll let you all decide if this new format is better or not. Bewildered that the dimension hopping star posts activated on their own, Tails and Rotor are attacked by Boomer, and soon the Freedom Fighters base is being infiltrated by the anti-Freedom Fighters, the Suppression Squad. Meanwhile, Sonic and the Chaotix are flanking Eggman City Megalopolis. As Knuckles tries to reason with Leenda and the new Dark Egg Legion, overpowered, the Legion begins to retreat, but Charmy, Saffron, which is Charmy's girlfriend, and Ray are all stuck in the Legion's base after planting an explosive. Rotor makes a call to Sonic about the base being attacked, and he decides to speed back home, confident that the Chaotix can finish the job. Dimitri joins the fight against the Chaotix, equipped with a new mech, and Sonic makes it to the base just in time to see the emergence of his new rival, King Scourge! As Sonic and Scourge start fighting, Scourge recalls their last conversation. It motivated him to return to his dimension, take it over, and use his new team to dominate Sonic's world. The Freedom Fighters aren't going down without a fight. Dimitri begins gaslighting Knuckles about the happenings during the Interject arc, and after Julie Sue calls him out on his hypocrisy, begins firing at the Chaotix. Vector encourages Knuckles, who steals his resolve and fights against his people. The fight at the Knothole base ensues, with Scourge threatening his team to get their act together. Rotor makes his escape to call for help. There's a bit where Antoine and Bunny share a moment, with her saying, "So long as your heart's in the right place," and then Miles chimes in with a badass, "We can see to it that it isn't." The Freedom Fighters continue their back and forth with the Suppression Squad. The Chaotix finish their assault, forcing the Dark Egg Legion to retreat. But not before Dimitri leaves Knuckles with a suspicious line about weakening the greatest evil the world has ever known from within. The Freedom Fighters, on the other hand, have found they've met their match. When Sally calls for them to retreat, Sonic reluctantly obliges, meeting up with the Chaotix and stating that he will get the base back. After getting rather comfy at Freedom HQ, Scourge receives a visit from Metal Sonic, who Eggman at first decides to leave alone, but quickly changes his mind. Back in Wobotropolis, the new Acro Kingdom, the Council unauthorizes the plan to retake the Freedom HQ, believing that it'd be better to prioritize the attack on Eggman City. Sonic wants Knuckles to rebel with him and take back the base by themselves, but Knuckles, filled with guilt about his father's death, declines. Sonic runs off to the base to find Metal overwhelming Scourge. Miles patronizes Scourge, deciding it would be insulting to step in and help the man who single-handedly took over Moebius. But that doesn't stop Sonic from stepping in. Sonic proposes a truce with Scourge, and it doesn't go very well. Julie Sue finds Knuckles sulking. He snaps and has a visceral anxiety attack. Julie Sue breaks into an argument with him about not taking it all on his own, but it doesn't go very well. The Hedgehogs continue their fight when Sonic and Scourge begin to have another mid-fight discussion about morality. As Scourge tries to convince Sonic to join him, Archimedes and Charmy manage to cheer Knuckles up, and he reconciles with Julie Sue. Now arriving at the Hedgehog battle is Metal Scourge, who along with Metal Sonic overwhelm the rivals, forcing them to team up. Dimitri calls Eggman out on the fact that he managed to build 2 metal duplicates in hours, but couldn't provide reinforcements for the Dark Egg Legion in the issue prior, stating that he will not allow Eggman to use his people so carelessly. Eggman puts his foot on Dimitri's neck by revealing that he lined explosives on the Dark Egg Legion's new cybernetic body parts, ordering Dimitri to fall in line. During the fight, Scourge allows his ego to distract him, prompting Miles to make an observation of Sonic's character, and how that could be useful to the Suppression Squad. Dimitri informs Leenda about the bombs and might have to consider turning to Knuckles to save his people. Sonic advises Scourge to count on his team, and reluctantly, he calls for help. The Suppression Squad takes out the Metals. After the fight, Sonic decides to retreat for now, and man, this comic is so good at laying out details with body language. For disobeying the Council, Elias must punish Sonic, so he assigns him a task that he might like. With newly built Star Post, Sonic is assigned to invade Moebius, the other dimension. Scourge sneaks into Sonic's house at night and finds Jules. Scourge tries to intimidate Jules, but Jules calls Scourge a coward and stands up for herself and his son, and manages to scare Scourge away. Partnered up with Amy, Sonic travels through the Star Post. After a scuffle with one of the other Eggman's robots, Dr. Kintelberg stops his robot and plans a way to help Sonic undo Scourge's invasion of Moebius. Nicole informs the Freedom Fighters that Miles is outside of the city, and they rush over. Miles wants to propose an alliance with the Freedom Fighters to betray Scourge. Dr. Kintober explains what the Suppression Squad has been doing in their world and how they managed to travel to Mobius. Looking to find something that could help them beat Scourge, the Doctor proposes to have them find Rosie the Rascal. Miles fills in the Freedom Fighters on how his team resents Scourge for taking over their world and offers Sally a plan to join forces to beat him together. Sonic, Amy, and Buns Omega head off into the Mobius castle. Once there, they encounter Rosie herself. She explains how her mind was broken by a special ring before going on the attack. Sonic tries to reason with Rosie to no avail. Miles returns to the base with the Freedom Fighters, and their plan is underway. Amy decides to keep Rosie busy while Sonic finds the Star Post in the Mobius castle. He uses it to get back to the lab where the Suppression Squad and the Freedom Fighters are attacking Scourge and Fiona. Nicole fills Sonic in on the situation, but he's immediately confronted by Fiona. Amy is overwhelmed by Rosie, who broke her hammer, and tries to break the Star Post next, but Buns Omega stops her. Amy calls for Sonic to hurry. He runs over to Scourge, swats him, and they both get hit by Boomer's beam, and Miles throws them both into the Star Post while Boomer shuts it down. Sonic and Amy are stuck in Mobius Castle with Rosie and Scourge. Elsewhere in Mobius, an archer, Rob the Hedge, finds Silver, who makes his debut in this series, and is searching for Sonic. I swear this dude literally comes out of nowhere. The side story at the end is an issue that covers Snivelly's disdain for serving Eggman, and him discovering a curious new friend online. Before I continue, just 2 words, just hear me out, 2 words. Peak fiction! Oh my god, it's so damn cool! Ian Flynn uses Charles and Nicole explaining the situation to Sonic's parents as a recap in the beginning. But quickly, we're back to the scramble at the Mobius castle. Amy checks in on Buns Omega, who says she has enough power to return to Dr. Kintober. Eggman repels Metal Sonic with an engine that'll allow him to jump between zones, which he immediately does. Rob helps Silver look for Sonic using a warp ring that sends them to Freedom HQ, where Sally gives her frustrations about the Suppression Squad deviating from the plan by trapping Sonic and Amy in Mobius. Silver, familiar with Mobius, is able to use his warp ring to get there as Rob continues to accompany him. The Hedgehog battle wages on in Mobius when suddenly Shadow appears using Chaos Control. The writers are phoning it in at this point, but it's peak, so I'll let it slide for a moment. Oh yeah, and Metal pops up too. And before they can duke it out again, Silver and Rob finally show up at the castle. All the players are here, and the game is set. Silver halts the fighting to find out which one of the hedgehogs are Sonic, who he realizes through Metal Sonic's coloring is blue. Rob stops Silver, who explains that the future was doomed to a traitor in the Freedom Fighters who he suspected was Sonic. Rob tells Silver that Sonic is a hero, and Scourge attacks them both, escalating the fight. To get things under control, Sonic proposes another truce, this time against Scourge, and it actually goes very well. However, Scourge has an ace up his sleeve as he retreats to his throne room to find Anarchy Barrel, the Chaos Emerald derivatives in this world, and uses them to become Super Scourge. At Freedom HQ, Tails finally gets the Star Post back online. Figuring that Sonic has beaten Scourge by now, both teams head over to Mobius to see Super Scourge, the winner of the HEDGEHOG HAVOC. He beats up the Freedom Fighters and makes quick work of his old team. Not even Silver can stop him. Metal attempts to capture Sonic since Scourge is no longer a viable option, but Shadow warps him and Metal Sonic away. Desperate, both teams follow Sally's plan to take Scourge down, which, while executed nicely, doesn't work. Sonic spin dashes Scourge when Scourge takes him outside. Once again, questioning Sonic's morality, Sonic runs away to form a plan, and he comes to the realization that in this world, everything is in reverse. So once Scourge catches up to him, Sonic plays to his ego, implying that Scourge could never beat him in a fair and square fight. Scourge powers down to prove Sonic wrong, but he's weakened by doing so, which Sonic explains that since the after effects of the Chaos Emeralds make him stronger, the Anarchy Barrel would have the opposite effect on Scourge. Down with the king, as Sonic denounces Scourge's way. The next day, Buns Omega returns to the Star Post in Mobius to Dr. Kintober. Silver decides to do more research and returns to his future. While all the Freedom Fighters return home, Sonic will head to the Parallel Zone with Scourge in tow. Alrighty, this last issue covers Sonic as he attempts to take Scourge to the multiverse prison. Scourge manages to break free, but the Zone cops find them both before they can even fight. Zector and Zespio take them to the No Zone. Scourge, of course, starts wrecking house, but Sonic and his Zone Cop variant, Sonic, work together to capture him and lock him up for good. Sonic returns home later that day. Sally, on the other hand, is facing charges of treason for acting against the wishes of the council. And let me just say, this is without a doubt my favorite Sally moment in the entire comic series, bar none. Hamlin, a former member of the Freedom Fighters, now council member, throws everything he can at Sally to convince his fellow council members that she deserves punishment for dealing with the suppression squad. She argues that her actions were out of necessity, and Hamlin argues that her actions still compromise the council's authority. She makes completely valid points and stands her ground. On the other hand, Hamlin is technically correct that her actions could prove the council redundant. Something about this discussion is so perfect. The citizens of Acorn wanted the council for a reason, so preserving its authority is important to the people. But the people's lives are also important, which is what Sally is ultimately working so hard to protect. Even by keeping the Chaotix in Acorn while the Freedom Fighters were active, it's simultaneously black and white and morally ambiguous, but in a completely real way. It's a perfect end to this arc, but looks like Eggman's latest machine is up and ready. What's he plotting this time? So, what are my thoughts on this arc? Is it worthy of being a contender for a high-tier chapter of the Archie Sonic comics? Yes. Yes, it is. First off, the fact that this comic is consistently connected arcs together by having plot points bleed into the next is brilliant. It makes the world feel much more alive. Knuckles struggling with his guilt from Enerjack and giving into his anxiety with dealing with his people and questioning his worth was in complete contrast with Dimitri and Leenda feeling as if they needed him desperately after learning about the bombs in their bodies. Also, Sonic learning from his mistakes from the Eggman invasion was awesome. When he listened to Sally and retreated from the base, and later when he told Scourge to rely on his team for help, showed how much the invasion changed him. The betrayal of the Suppression Squad was built up pretty well through visual narrative of their body language. Scourge was a textbook schoolyard bully, and there were many times where his shortcomings were on full display. My only gripe is Shadow being shoehorned into the last fight. It was fun, but everyone had a role in the story that led up to that point, but Shadow just came literally out of nowhere. Silver is nearly the same case, but him popping up conveniently at that moment is saved from being contrived only because time travel is such an anomaly. Other than that, man, I found this particular set of issues completely stellar. Alright, next time we'll cover the Iron Dominion arc, so don't miss it. Don't forget to subscribe and participate in the Sonic Frontiers giveaway. Details down below. Once again, take care everyone, spread love, and goodbye.